Somebody do something for God and country and go back to work. That's a good one right there. I'm gonna take.
Blinding flashes of light rained down on the hands that once held the fate of countless treasures, the hands of a man who was a legend. Is a dazed silhouette standing before the court's judgment. The confident grin of yesteryear has vanished. The gavel's sharp strike rang out, sealing the end of a television empire. What drove Rick Harrison from the pinnacle of fame to the depths of despair? How did a name cherished by millions of American households, starting right now? Everything Richard Harrison painstakingly built has come crashing down. The reality TV star, once revered worldwide for his business acumen and vast knowledge of antiques, now finds himself at the center of a sprawling federal investigation, facing the harshest possible coordinated operation. FBI agents, IRS investigators, and representatives from the Department of Cultural Heritage Protection stormed Rick's lavish residence and his famed pawn shop. Eyewitnesses likened the scene to a Hollywood blockbuster, employees and customers detained, while agents hauled away computers, documents, and mysterious artifacts from the storage vaults. Corey Harrison, Rick's son who saw it all unfold, later said the chaos hit so fast it felt almost dreamlike. Footage of Rick Harrison being escorted out of his home spread like wildfire across social media, igniting an unprecedented wave of confusion. No one could grasp what was happening to this once untouchable icon. When the glittering mask of the Pawn King was torn away, a sprawling criminal empire emerged into the public's stunned gaze. Federal investigators uncovered a sophisticated web of crime, weaving together massive tax evasion, money laundering through high-value items funneled via the pawn shop, and most jaw-dropping of all, trafficking in stolen artifacts pilfered from renowned museums. The probe kicked off with red flags raised by irregular transactions caught by financial watchdogs, compounded by accusations from Harrison's former business associates. At first, Rick's legal team scrambled to smother the flames with fierce denials, brushing off the investigation as a misunderstanding that will soon be cleared up. David Marshall, a high-profile Las Vegas attorney known for defending celebrities, stepped forward to assure the public that his client has always run his business with integrity and full compliance with the law. But those bold rebuttals crumbled fast under a tidal wave of undeniable evidence. Authorities revealed they'd amassed proof that Rick had orchestrated an intricate scheme to deliberately undervalue priceless historical artifacts, reporting paltry figures to the IRS to dodge taxes, while secretly offloading them through private channels for their true staggering worth. Even graver, investigators charged that he knowingly bought and sold stolen historical pieces through intermediaries, including invaluable documents and relics swiped from museums and private collections. Court documents later released pinpointed the turning point testimony from a former close employee who chose to turn traitor within this criminal dynasty. They unveiled a black ledger, damning record of every illicit deal that never made it to the official books. The scrawled lines in that ledger laid bare a shocking truth. Rare treasures and irreplaceable historical documents from famed museums had been acquired by Rick through shadowy middlemen, faceless figures no one dared name or question. This bombshell was the spark that sent police storming in to arrest Rick Harrison on the spot, leaving the entertainment world reeling in disbelief. Even though the spectacle of police escorting Rick from his home was thunderous, just a day after his arrest, Rick posted bail and was swiftly released, with a trial date set mere days later. The man once admired by millions now faced a barrage of grave criminal charges, large-scale tax evasion, money laundering, trafficking stolen goods, and conspiring to trade illegally sourced cultural artifacts. David Marshall, his attorney, insisted that his client vehemently denies all allegations and will fight to the end. The legal battle stretched on for nearly a year, with Rick steadfastly maintaining his innocence before the court. Despite the mounting pressure of the trial, Rick stood his ground, appearing on various television programs, particularly those with a conservative bent, claiming he was the target of a smear campaign designed to dismantle the legacy of Pawn stars. Scores of supporters rallied behind him, launching hashtags like Free Rick and staging protests outside the courthouse to voice their outrage at the case's handling. But truth has a way of surfacing, and the prosecution's pile of irrefutable evidence, bolstered by damning testimony from former associates and victims, grew too heavy to deny. In the end, Rick had no choice but to bow his head and plead guilty. Federal prosecutors laid bare a trove of sealed financial records, encrypted messages, and detailed accounts from ex-employees who confirmed Rick had personally instructed them to forge documents for high-value items. Particularly jolting was evidence revealing he'd orchestrated an intricate web of offshore accounts to conceal massive profits from these shady dealings. A string of messages between Rick and a mysterious supplier came to light, detailing how to clean the provenance of an 18th century document believed stolen from a prestigious university's archives. In another exchange, Rick was exposed plotting the minutiae of structuring transactions to skirt regulations on reporting large cash deals. When the life sentence was pronounced, the courtroom fell into a suffocating silence. Rick, who'd clung to a veneer of composure throughout the trial, turned pale as parchment. Corey, his son, sat in the back, head buried in his hands, shoulders trembling uncontrollably. Chumley, the friend who'd shown up every day to support his longtime mentor, couldn't hold back his emotions and bolted from the room. Life in prison, the verdict rang out like a thunderbolt splitting a clear sky. The sentence stunned even seasoned legal analysts, many deeming it disproportionate to the crimes. Yet the judge stood firm, stressing that the punishment wasn't solely for financial misdeeds, it was a consequence of the irreversible harm inflicted on historical and cultural heritage through the plunder of looted artifacts. Harrison, the judge intoned, voice laden with gravity, you presented yourself to the American public as a guardian of history, a man who cherished the story behind each object and grasped its significance to our collective legacy. But in truth, you engaged in the systematic looting and destruction of irreplaceable cultural treasures for personal gain. This court cannot overlook the severity of such actions. In an instant, Harrison's legal team filed an appeal, decrying the sentence as disproportionate and a violation of civil rights. Yet their plea for bail pending the appeal was shot down by the court without hesitation. Legal experts remain sharply divided over the ruling. This is an excessively harsh penalty for a nonviolent offense, some argue. But the judge was unwavering, underscoring that the punishment wasn't just for financial breaches, it was a reckoning for the irreparable damage Rick inflicted on humanity's cultural and historical heritage. Public reaction to the verdict has been fiercely split. Thousands of longtime fans voiced deep skepticism, insisting it's a grave judicial error. On the flip side, representatives from academic circles and heritage preservation groups cheered the decision, hailing it as a vital deterrent against the lucrative trade of illicit artifacts. Rick's tragic fate has ignited an unprecedented wave of solidarity among his fan base and the broader Pawn Stars community. The Hearts for Harrison campaign erupted, amassing over 100,000 signatures on a petition for a case review, with supporters relentlessly highlighting the sentence's imbalance. We're not denying that if he broke the law, there should be consequences, Melissa Jenkins, the campaign's founder, explained, her voice thick with emotion, but life in prison for nonviolent crimes isn't justice, it's vengeance. If you believe Rick deserves a second chance, add your name to the petition or contribute to his legal fund. Corey, Rick's son, his eyes rimmed red, choked out in an interview, every prayer, every message of support, every dollar donated makes a difference. My dad messed up, but he doesn't deserve to end his life in a cell. He deserves a shot at redemption. The Free Rick movement surged, with hundreds of protesters gathering outside the courthouse during hearings, a stark contrast to the image of a Rick who'd hit rock bottom with his crimes, a jarring shock for those who once admired him as the shrewd, candid businessman on Pawn Stars. While many rushed to condemn him based on media reports, thousands of loyal fans rallied online support groups, insisting that regardless of the charges, Rick's positive influence on their lives through his educational approach on Pawn Stars couldn't be erased. Rick taught me to love history in a way no classroom ever could, one fan wrote, brimming with heartfelt emotion. Now it's our turn to show him we haven't forgotten the good he brought. Meanwhile, the History Channel swiftly severed all ties with Rick, abruptly canceling Pawn Stars
and pulling every rerun from its lineup, a crushing blow to the television empire
Harrison had built over a decade. If there's a single word to capture Rick's journey, I'd say it's extraordinary. From a humble pawn shop owner to a reality TV star, a businessman, and now a convicted felon serving a life sentence. Despite his legal troubles, Rick's imprint on reality television and the pawn industry is undeniable. His transformation from a respected entrepreneur to a disgraced public figure lays bare how swiftly fortune can turn, especially under the unrelenting glare of fame. Cultural commentators have pointed to the almost Shakespearean quality of Rick's downfall, a man with a vast knowledge of history who, in the end, couldn't stop himself from turning historical artifacts into the instruments of his own ruin. Rick Harrison's story isn't just a personal tragedy, it's a stark cautionary tale about the fleeting nature of fame and success. No matter how solid it seems, it can all crumble in an instant. The lingering question haunts us: should a single misstep, whether born of carelessness, greed, or a broken system, define an entire life? As Rick Harrison grapples with life behind bars, his son Corey is straining to carry the family legacy forward, striving to rebuild Pawn Stars with accountability and clarity. My dad taught me everything I know about this business, Corey said in a recent interview. The good parts of that education are what I'm trying to build on. We've made mistakes, big ones, but this shop has been part of Las Vegas for over 30 years, and I'm determined to make sure it stands for 30 more. The Harrison family has set up a dedicated website where fans can send messages of support to Rick in prison. Every letter, every card, even snapshots from the show's heyday are delivered to the man enduring the darkest chapter of his life. If you're a fan of Pawn Stars and value what Rick brought to television over the years, consider sending your prayers, positive thoughts, or words of encouragement his way. Your kindness could make a world of difference in this grueling stretch of his journey. The address for sending support is available on the site, with the family emphasizing that hearing from fans is Rick's main lifeline through this ordeal. As a family statement put it, Rick has always cherished the Pawn Stars audience, and now more than ever, knowing you're still with him means everything. From the glow of stardom to the chill of iron bars, Rick Harrison's story is a tragedy, a controversy, and a stark reminder success can vanish in an instant. Will he find a second chance? Do you think this sentence fits the crime? Drop a comment below to share your take on this jaw-dropping tale. Thanks for taking the time to watch. If this story gripped you, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss any of our latest updates. See you in the next video.